Hoy vamos a continuar la lectura de The Curious Incident de Mark Haddon. So I'm going to turn to English now. Okay, so next it's chapter 11. Then the police arrived. I like the police. They have uniforms and numbers and you know what they are meant to be doing. There was a policewoman and a policeman. The policewoman had a little hole in her tights on her left ankle and a red scratch in the middle of the hole. The policeman had a big orange leaf stuck to the bottom of his shoe, which was poking out from outside. The policewoman put her arms round Mrs. Shears and led her back toward the house. I lifted my head off the grass. The policeman squatted down beside me and said, "Would you like to tell me what's going on here, young man?" I sat up and said, "The dog is dead." "I'd got that far," he said. I said, "I think someone killed the dog." "How old are you?" he asked. I replied, "I'm 15 years old and 3 months and 2 days. "And what precisely were you doing in the garden?" he asked. "I was holding the dog," I replied. "And why were you holding the dog?" he asked. This was a difficult question. It was something I wanted to do. I liked dogs. It made me sad to see that the dog was dead. "I'm sorry if you hear noises. I have a dog walking around." It made me sad to see that the dog was dead. I like policemen too, and I wanted to answer the question properly, but the policeman did not give me enough time to work out the correct answer. "Why were you holding the dog?" he asked again. "I like dogs," I said. "You killed the dog?" he asked. I said, "I did not kill the dog." "Is this your fork?" he asked. I said, "No." "You seem very upset about this," he said. He was asking too many questions and he was asking them too quickly. They were stacking up in my head like cloves in the factory where Uncle Terry works. I'm sorry about that. The factory is a bakery and he operates the slicing machines. And sometimes a slicer is not working fast enough, but the bread keeps coming and there is a blockage. I sometimes think of my mind as a machine, but not always as a bread slicing machine. It makes it easier to explain to other people what is going on inside it. The policeman said, "I am going to ask you once again." I rolled back onto the lawn and pressed my forehead to the ground again and made the noise that Father called groaning. I make this noise when there is too much information coming into my head from the outside world. It is like when you are upset and you hold the radio against your ear and you tune it halfway between 2 stations so that all you get is white noise, and then you turn the volume right up so that this is all you can hear, and then you know you're safe because you cannot hear anything else. The policeman took hold of my arm and lifted me onto my feet. I didn't like him touching me like this. And this is when I hit him. Chapter 13. This will not be a funny book. I cannot tell jokes because I do not understand them. Here is a joke. As an example, it is one of Father's. Face was drawn, but the curtains were real. I know why this is meant to be funny. I asked. It's because drawn has 3 meanings, and they are: the first, drawn with a pencil; the second, exhausted; and the third, pulled across a window. And meaning 1 refers to both the face and the curtains, meaning 2 refers only to the face, and meaning 3 refers only to the curtains. If I try to say the joke to myself, making the word mean the three different things at the same time, it is like hearing three different pieces of music at the same time, which is uncomfortable and confusing, and not nice like white noise. It is like three people trying to talk to you at the same time about different things. And that is why there are no jokes in this book. Chapter 17. The policeman looked at me for a while without speaking. Then he said, "I am arresting you for assaulting a police officer." This made me feel a lot calmer because it is what policemen say on televisions and in films. Then he said, "I strongly advise you to get into the back of the police car because if you try any of that monkey business again, you little shit, I will seriously lose my rack. Is that understood?" I walked over the police car, which was parked just outside the gate. He opened the back door and I got inside. Climbed into the driver's seat and made a call on his radio to the policewoman, who was still inside the house. He said, "The little bugger just had a pop at me, Kate. Can you hang on with Mrs. S while I drop him off at the station? I'll get Tony to swing by and pick you up." And she said, "Sure, I'll catch you later." The policeman said, "Okie dokie," and we drove off. The police car smelled of hot plastic and aftershave and takeaway chips. I watched the sky as we drove toward the town center. It was a clear night and you could see the Milky Way. Some people think the Milky Way is a long line of stars, but it isn't. Our galaxy is a huge disk of stars millions of light years across, and the solar system is somewhere near the outside edge of the disk. When you look in direction A at 90 degrees to the disk, you don't see many stars, but when you look in direction B, you see lots more stars because you're looking into the main body of the galaxy, and because the galaxy is a disk, you see a stripe of stars. And when I thought about how for a long time scientists were puzzled by the fact that the sky is dark at night, even though there are billions of stars in the universe and there must be stars in every direction you look, so that the sky should be full of starlight because there is very little in the way to stop the light from reaching Earth. Then they worked out that the universe was expanding, that the stars were all rushing away from one another after the Big Bang, and the farther the stars were away from us, the faster they were moving, some of them nearly as fast as the speed of light, which was why their light never reached us. I like this fact. It is something you can work out in your own mind just by looking at the sky above your head at night and thinking without having to ask anyone. And when the universe has finished exploding, all the stars will slow down, like a ball that has been thrown into the air, and they will come to a halt, and they will all begin to fall toward the center because they will all be moving toward us, gradually faster than faster, and we will know that the world is going to end soon because when we look up into the sky at night, there will be no darkness, just blazing light of billions and billions of stars, all falling. Except that no one will see this, because there will be no people left on Earth to see it. They will probably have become extinct by then. And even if there are people still in existence, they will not see it, because the light will be so bright and hot that everyone will be burned to death, even if they live in tunnels. Oh, here is the explanation I promised. Chapter 19. Chapters in books are usually given the cardinal numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. But I have decided to give my chapters prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, and so on, because I like prime numbers. This is how you work out what prime numbers are. First, you write down all the positive whole numbers in the world. Then you take away all the numbers that are multiples of 2. Then you take away all the numbers that are multiples of 3. Then you take away all the numbers that are multiples of 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and so on. The numbers that are left are the prime numbers. The rule for working out prime numbers is really simple, but no one has ever worked out a simple formula for telling you whether a very big number is a prime number or what the next one will be. If a number is really, really big, it can take a computer years to work out whether it is a prime number. Prime numbers are useful for writing codes, and in America they are classed as military material, and if you find one over 100 digits long, you have to tell the CIA, and they buy it off you for $10,000. But it would not be a very good way of making a living. Prime numbers are what is left when you have taken all the patterns away. I think prime numbers are like life. They are very logical, but you could never work out the rules, even if you spend all your time thinking about them. So that's why I like this book. You always learn something new. We learned about prime numbers, we learned about the galaxy, the stars. So, thank you for listening again, and I hope you like this second chapter, this second video of this book. Así me despido de ustedes otra vez. Muchas gracias por escuchar y si llegaste a este punto, me gustaría por favor que me dejes un comentario, un me gusta o por qué decidiste escuchar este video. Gracias otra vez y feliz año nuevo.